rewind the clock a little bit and talk a little bit about your last fight, because obviously it was a 40-second knockout. Um, Really well timed elbow. I mean, I gotta recap with you a little bit on that. Like, kind of just take me through that, because obviously, it's gotta feel good showing off, the improvements you've made in your striking.
Yeah, man, it was a great opportunity to land the elbow and I took it. Me and my coach Dave have been working that specific shot for the last 6 months. You know what I mean? So to land that and to do it in such a viral manner is very fulfilling and satisfying to the work we've put in. And after fighting, 4 fights with PFL with no elbows. I know I only needed one elbow to show how damaging I can be with them, and I did that, and yeah, it was surreal. It was a great testament to the work me and my coach Dave have put in on the pads, definitely.
And was that a scenario that you kind of had practiced before in terms of getting him up against the cage and in the clinch and finding the opening for that elbow?
Yeah, we knew he was going to clinch. We knew he was going to clinch. We knew he would not like the power. We knew he would panic when he felt my the power in my hands, and he'd rush for that clinch, which he did. I feel like I'm very very strong in the clinch. So for him to, if his plan A is to put me in the clinch and then I'm outpowering him there, he would shit his bricks and then we would capitalize. I touched him to the body, got him to draw himself down, and I caught him to the head. You know what I mean? It was well placed, well timed, but it went exactly how we knew it was gonna, which is like, that little bit sweeter. It shows that we have good game planning, good understanding of fighting, and a good IQ, definitely.
Yeah, because from your pro debut to now, I mean, you've always been known as a really dangerous grappler, right? I mean, that's what a lot of the media and fans and analysts have said about you, is that your grappling has always been, that main attack. But it really seems like your striking is really starting to move up to that level too. I mean, just kind of talk to me about how good it feels to really have a well-rounded game and give your opponents different looks.
Yeah, it's great, because when I came back to MMA after a little hiatus, so when I joined SBG, I gave myself the ultimatum: I can be a grappler all my life, or else I can be a complete mixed martial artist and be one of the best complete mixed martial artists I can be. With that being, from boxing, Thai boxing, elbows, knees, kicks, everything. I wanted to up my game everywhere so that no matter who I fought, they would think, "Fuck, where the fuck did we beat this guy? He's strong everywhere." And that's the type of fighter I wanted to be. I wanted to be someone who was so strong everywhere that someone, when they look at me, they just don't know where to beat me. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm setting out to achieve. That's what I'm setting out to do. And fight by fight, I think I'm starting to show it.
And what's really cool too is you've talked a lot about, kind of instead of game planning for a specific opponent, you're kind of self game planning in a way, right? In terms of like, making sure your skills are well rounded and you're constantly improving. I mean, just kind of talk to me a little bit about that. Like, how much of a difference do you feel like that mindset in terms of, making sure your own skill set is really solid before, you even worry about what your opponent's going to do?
Yeah, I think it's the most important part of the game, you know what I mean? As well as having a strategy in place for opponents. If your skills aren't to the level that they need to be, your strategy might not work as well. So I plan every single fight to be the best I can be. Then we have a little look at the opponent. We see, mannerisms he has, strategies he uses, and then we implement our little bit of strategy ourselves. So once I'm the best shape I can be mentally, physically, and skillfully, well then no matter who I fight, the strategy that I put in place to fight them will work because I'm in the best shape mentally, physically, and skillfully I can be. Then it's just about me doing it on the night, putting them away, and showing that it was a mistake taking the fight with me.
And one thing that's new as well, I think the last time we spoke was December, is right after your Dimitri fight. And I got to ask you too, like obviously you've re-signed a new deal with the promotion. That's got to be super exciting to really have that stability. Can you kind of take me through what went into your decision to renegotiate that contract and re-sign and stay with the PFL?
Yeah, well, they just look after me, you know what I mean? Since I've joined, they've been really adamant to develop me as a fighter, and they've almost took me on board, a part of our PFL family, and it's something I've noticed from day one, and it's something that I hold close to my heart. If you respect me and give me everything, well, then I will give everything to you in return. So that's why I'm trying so hard to push tickets. That's why I'm trying so hard to get these entertaining finishes. That's why I'm trying so hard to be the best fighter I can be, so that as well as them making something off me, I'm making something off them. We're shaking hands, we're doing good business, and everyone wins then. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would say just our overall treatment of me is the main reason why I'm so happy here.
And the big thing too is obviously activity, right? You've always been a guy that wants that high activity level, and now with obviously you're getting ready to fight in the Bellator Champion Series, but obviously you got PFL Europe, which you fought in before. You have a possible you could fight in the PFL season next year. I mean that's got to be a huge factor too, right? In terms of deciding to stay with the PFL.
Yeah, it's the activity that's the key. That's what I wanted. That's what I said to them from day one. I want to be active. I want to fight very, very regularly. I don't want to be sitting around in my arse collecting dust. I want to be in regularly, and I have been. I've had a fight basically on average of every 10 weeks for the last 2.5 years. So that speaks for itself. So yeah, like activity is key. Activity is key to progressing, and activity is key for financial stability. And I'm getting the best of both worlds about them. And yeah, I'm really, really happy with where I'm at now.
What do you feel like is the best thing for you right now? Because obviously, you're getting ready to fight under the Bellator Champion Series banner, but obviously, as I mentioned, you have the option to compete in the series next year. I mean, take me through like what these next few fights could be for you in terms of like, do you see yourself competing for a Bellator title one day? Do you are you more enticed by competing for a PFL season title next year? I mean, kind of give me the layout in terms of what you're thinking.
Yeah, well, obviously have this fight ahead of me next week. I want to win this. Then I would love to fight on the Bellator card in London on the 16th of September. It's in the Wembley Arena. I'd love to fight on that, get the win there, and then hopefully that will keep me a shot in that $1 million season next year. That's what I'm working towards. That's where I want to be. I want to be challenging myself against the best. I want to be fighting the top lads in the world and give myself the best opportunity to be a world champion and be $1 million richer. And that's what I want next year. I'm 27 this year. I'm not getting any younger. I want to get in while I'm starting to hit my athletic prime. And I think next year, providing I win the next two fights, that will be that'll be where I want to be next year, and I want to be a world champion by the end of 2025.
And another guy that's getting a lot of noise right now under the Bellator banner is Paul Hughes. Obviously, he's a guy that is getting a lot of noise right now. Obviously, signing under the PFL banner, but getting ready to fight in Bellator. I guess what was your reaction when you found out the news that Paul Hughes was joining the Bellator promotion?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised because I heard so much about him going to the UFC that I almost thought that was going to happen. But things happen, things don't go your way. He's doing what's best for himself, and yeah, he feels he made the right decision. So that's all that matters, really.
And it's also kind of in a way good for guys like you, right? In terms of having these big name free agents join under the PFL Bellator banner. Obviously, it's going to bring even more attention to guys like you, right? So do you kind of see this as like a potential domino effect in terms of the PFL attract even more big name free agents? Obviously, you got Francis and all that too, but how do you see that?
Yeah, I think every bit of exposure, every bit of publicity is key to that snowball effect. Paul was bringing a lot of hype into the scene now, where him joining and fighting on this card next week, a card that I'm going to be on. If he's bringing more eyes to the card, that means more eyes on me. So everyone wins.
Absolutely, man. And I want to. Your journey in MMA has been, such a steep rise, right? Obviously, you're having so much success in your career right now. But I've seen in other interviews you've kind of spoken a little bit about how just a few years ago, you felt like you were kind of self-destructive, right? And I don't want to go into details if you're not comfortable talking about that, but kind of just talk to me about the reality of the position where you were just a few years ago to now, like when you look at your journey and the self improvement you've made, I mean, what comes to mind?
Just I think what comes to mind is just having an understanding of who I am as a person, my morals, my habits, my discipline, my dedication, everything that entails being successful. I lacked it all years ago, and I really was in turmoil mentally, which then led me to make a lot of wrong decisions in my life, and was very impulsive in the wrong way, and basically ran myself into the ground. And I think just an understanding of my own psyche, my own psychological, um, my own brain. You know what I mean? Understanding the whole thing of how my brain works and what's best for me and how I can get the best out of myself. I think that was the key to me having a big turnaround, and as well as that, just having this inner desire that never left me to be a world champion. I think when I wasn't, working towards that goal, I was, if I wasn't working towards being a world champion, I was working towards being the biggest loser. You know what I mean? And that's what that's what was setting me off one path to the other. So to have that understanding that this is what my goal is, this is what my dream has always been, and to go back chasing it and giving everything I have into it, win, lose or draw, has been the key to me turning things around.
Absolutely, man. Well, before we wrap things up here, I want to give you the final word. Shout out any sponsors you're working with. Shout out your team, social media, all that good stuff. I'll give it the final word before we wrap up.
Yeah, cheers, man. Thanks for having me. Just thank you to my team, my coaches, my sponsors, Motion Masters, Love to Smile, KOSIE. Thanks to my team who push me every week. And ticket link is in my bio. If you're coming to the show, come and check it out. Ticket link is in my bio. If you're watching online, it's going to be on the Zone. It's going to be on Max. And yeah, so hopefully, hopefully you can get a nice first round finish again and finish the night early.
Absolutely. Well, Nathan, it was great to chat with you again. All the best with these next few weeks, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Curtis. Thanks for having me. Yeah.